welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I am your host, Eric Dwinnells, and I am joined tonight by my brother, Dan Dwinnells.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back.
Oh, glad to be back.
It's been a while. You made a little guest appearance on the Manson episodes.
Yeah.
But you haven't really been on an episode in
not for a while.
Long time.
Yeah.
So it's good to have you back. We're going to be talking about demons tonight.
All right.
And specific demons, not just like random.
Not just like...
Or I should say specific devils. Because we're going to learn the difference between demons and devils.
Okay, more than just spelling.
Yeah.
All right.
But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to check out the website, spookyas.com or spookyasshit.com. They both take you to the same place. That is the show's blog page. From there, you can check out each and every episode, even the ones no longer available on your favorite streaming service. You can also find links to all of our social media. We are at Spooky Ass Shit on both Twitter and Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas, and of course we have our closed group, the Spookaroos.
Go Spookaroos.
Now, before we launch into everything about the demons and everything, let's just talk about it. It's the beginning of October.
Yeah.
This
Great
is
time of year.
Yeah. Now, Dan, I wouldn't say you're not a Halloween guy, but you're not
No. You've definitely cornered the market in our family, especially.
Yeah. And I think even growing up, you were kind of more of a Christmas guy, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I've always loved Halloween. Halloween's fantastic. But you're right. I think you've definitely more into it than I am. But I love it. Halloween's fantastic. And honestly, the more I learn about it through you, the more I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's really neat. So,
yeah. So this is officially my season now then.
Yes.
Because I really, honestly start thinking about Halloween like mid-July.
Yep.
Is when I start.
Yeah.
And when I start looking in stores. And most stores don't really hook you up until like maybe August if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But some stores you can
find... A couple of craft stores do.
Yeah, you can find things.
It makes sense. Craft stores have to be 2 months out.
See, I'm glad you understand. For the people, I know everyone listening to this show probably understands, but for the people who don't understand, it's because you need to be ready by Halloween.
Right.
You're going to make, especially if you're making stuff.
Yeah, well, I always say the same thing about Christmas or about, like anything that you gotta...
Yeah.
If you're going to do something big and prepare for, and you go into a craft store where everything comes in parts, you don't throw all that shit together in one night,
Right.
Oh, getting ready, yeah. You need time to prepare.
Right, that's all. And not only that, but of course, if you're a fan of the holiday, you enjoy seeing it, you like seeing those little things out. And, yes, I am a believer that we wouldn't want Halloween every single day for the mainstream, even though I might live it every single day.
I want candy every single day, though.
Well, I mean, we're both diabetic, so I don't know how much good that's going to do us. I mean, we still want it, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice to keep it a treat. But on the other hand, like 6 months out of the year is all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, the good news for me is that we live pretty close to Salem, and Salem is Halloween throughout the year. So if I need a little fix, I'll just go to any touristy shop in Salem, and they're going to have spooky stuff.
Right. They got
not Halloween stuff necessarily, although oftentimes, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But they have things to keep to whet your appetite. And speaking of Salem, might as well talk about that a little bit, since hunting season has begun.
Yes, it has.
Yep. The Witchfinder General made his 2019 debut the last weekend of September. That's when I usually go out. Now, when I go in September, that is like my practice weekend. For those of you who don't know, if you're new to the show, I am the official, as you would agree, licensed Witchfinder General of Salem, Massachusetts.
Only one.
Yeah, only one in the world as far as I know,
Ever.
but definitely the one in Salem. Yeah, the only official one in the world in history. There was Matthew Hopkins. He just wasn't official. Now, that's a street performance that I do, and it's a fun, yet historically accurate comedy take on witch finding, and it's kind of a satire, I guess you would say. And it's all in good fun, but also to kind of point out some of the flaws with history and the reporting of history, and historic people and places. And that's something that I do in Salem, Massachusetts, and that is the Halloween capital of the world, despite what other people might try to tell you.
I didn't realize other people were saying.
There's kind of a one-sided rivalry with Sleepy Hollow. It's come up on this show before, and even in my private life, it's come up in conversations before, where people have been like, well, but you haven't been to Sleepy Hollow on Halloween. It's true that I have not been there on Halloween Day, but I've been there in Halloween season, and it's really cute.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
They do some fun things for a couple weekends.
Right.
Salem is Salem all the time. It only gets more Salem in Halloween time. Actually, the parade is happening right now as we're recording this episode. The Salem Halloween Parade is happening. So really, I should be down there, but I'm here with you instead.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, there's a lot to like about Salem, and one of those things is me. So if you're planning to visit Salem, make sure you look for the Witchfinder General. I'm usually right outside the Peabody Essex Museum. But there's some new ordinances around sound and everything, so I think I should be safe where I am. I haven't had any complaints from anybody in the Peabody Essex Museum, but you never know how things work out, so just keep an eye on the Instagram, and I'll let people know where I am. Witchfinder has his own Instagram now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it just started. It's if you want to follow the Witchfinder and see my fun pictures there, that is at Witchfinder of Salem. Enough about all that. Let's talk about demons, Dan.
All right.
Now, first of all, what do you know about demons, the devil, devils, and demons?
Very little, and really a lot of what I do know is through. I've read up a little bit on different demons and stuff, but mostly pop culture type education,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, really, that's about it. I don't know.
I mean, I've looked through the Bible. I've looked at the Bible websites that tell you, like, you type in a search term and it tells you everything the Bible has to say about whatever.
Yeah.
And I did one about the end of the world and all that kind of stuff. Fun episode. And touched on the devil there and everything, but the problem is the Bible doesn't really lay things out like you might think it would. It doesn't describe what hell is exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's different interpretations throughout history. So what we know about the devil and demons is, well, first of all, I mean, look, I'm an atheist, so
right,
they're not real. But if we were considering,
what we know,
yeah, if we were considering them as historical, actual beings, it gets a little hard to pin down because we have different sources saying different things,
right?
And of course, with different times come different interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't get me wrong. What I'm about to give you is not the definitive guide to devils and demons. It comes from a book that is actually a really good book. Again, historically accurate is a word I'm going to use in quotations.
Yeah, you got to use some things loosely.
I can't say that it's historically accurate necessarily, but it's definitely an interpretation and very enjoyable. So I would recommend this book to you spookaroos. It's called The Devil by Tom and Genevieve Morgan. So I recommend if you like this episode, you check out that book to get the full story. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the difference between the devil, devils, and demons, and then I'm going to describe a few of the key players who actually have their own names that you may or may not have heard before. There's many more, but we're just going to touch on.
And I mean, I think a lot of times too, one of the things that I find kind of amusing is that the various names that you've heard for the devil actually referring to different devils.
Yeah, that's something that's going to happen a few times tonight.
Like, oh no, everybody thinks, this guy and that guy is the same guy, but they're not.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, these are all actually different people. Possibly. Yeah. Depending on what you believe, I suppose.
Depending on what you believe and depending on the interpretation at the time, I suppose,
yeah.
too. So any interpretation that happened in the past is historically accurate.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. The devil, capital D. He, of course, is the fallen angel. There's many fallen angels because he didn't fall all by himself.
Right.
We all know the story of creation. God created the heaven and the earth. And he created angels to carry out his will and to serve him in heaven. So all of these angels were directly created by God.
Yep.
At this time, God created man,
Mm-hmm.
and he would go down to the Garden of Eden to check in on Adam and Eve. Now, while he was away on one of these trips, Lucifer, the angel of the morning, the light bearer, who was an order of angel called a seraphim,
Mm-hmm.
which was the highest order of angel you could be.
Yep.
So this was like, he was the real deal. He worked in God's throne room, and he was responsible for bringing light to the throne room. That's why he was known as Angel of the Morning Star,
right.
Angel of Light. While God was gone, Lucifer, being a being created by God, but he had his own free will. All the angels do. They're given free will. For some reason. Doesn't seem like the perfect plan, right? Like, if you could create a being without free will that would just, like, worship you. This is a big
If you're going to
big
create
question.
a being and expect it to just worship you,
Yeah.
why would you give it
Then
free
get
will?
really mad at it when it doesn't.
Right. And exactly. Yeah. That's the part that I've always been like, what?
That's a lot to unpack and kind of beyond the scope of the episode, but just know we have that in our heads. Anyway, Lucifer gets it in his head like, hey, I am better than the human beings down on Earth because they're made from dirt.
Yep.
And I am made directly by God. So, and I was created first. I live here in God's house. I have an important job. Like, I am not going to bow down to a human being like God is telling us to. And in fact, while God's out, I think I'm going to go and sit in his chair. The throne of heaven.
Okay.
So God comes back and he sees Lucifer sitting in his chair and a bunch of other angels are with him. And, Archangel Michael and these guys are like, God, while you were out, Lucifer, like, went off the rails and started doing his own thing. And now, like, what should we do? So God says, well, throw him out of here. So that's what happens. They are literally thrown from heaven.
Yeah.
And they come down, they crash down, not to Earth, but through Earth. And they end up in the fiery pits of hell. And they ignite on their way down because they come through the atmosphere.
Makes sense.
And their wings catch fire and burn and go from beautiful, glorious angel wings like we think of, shining in some cases, the seraphim cases. They actually had 6 wings, by the way.
Yep. I love that if you ever read the description of angels, it's all like geometric.
Yeah.
And then like a cherub does not look at all like a little baby with wings.
Yeah. They had 6 to 12 wings actually, but most of them had 6. And it was the light that would shine off these wings that would light the throne room for God. But when they were cast down to Earth, they caught fire in the atmosphere, burning in the atmosphere, and their
Science.
Yeah, their wings went from like nice feathery, beautiful angel wings or shiny, shimmering angel wings to these like burnt reptilian-looking kind of wings. So that's where that idea of Satan comes from. Also, Lucifer was very beautiful in heaven.
Yep.
And then, he got all burned up, basically. So, he's not so beautiful anymore. Got a little toasty.
Yeah, well, that'll happen on re-entry.
So, like I said, he was not alone. Sources vary, but it said that he took a certain number of angels with him, fallen angels, who had decided to rebel against God the same time Lucifer did, and weren't going to worship man and serve God and all that stuff. They had their own free will. But the number that we seem to get more often than not is 2,400.
Okay.
So it was Lucifer and 2,400 rebel angels cast out of heaven, thrown down to hell. And these are...
Yeah. Do you know, were they all seraphim angels? Or
No, they were not.
all of various...
Some were, but some were not. So those fallen angels then, Lucifer and all the rest, those are devils.
Okay, Lucifer and everybody.
Yeah, Lucifer is the devil.
And the other 2,400
They're
are
devils.
devils.
And they control, for the most part, demons,
Okay.
which are a separate thing, according to the mythology that we're going with tonight.
Okay.
The demons are what we might have called the familiar earth spirits or pagan gods of old.
Okay.
These are basically, if you listen to the episode I did about Irish folklore, these are the fairy folk in that historical context. But of course, other lands have their own form of these, goblins, hobgoblins, and gremlins, and
Right.
these
Sprites and...
these kinds of things, but also pagan gods in some cases. Those might be either devils or demons. Depending.
Well, I find it amusing that even like the pagan gods are set down below any order of angels.
Well,
Like, it's not that they're equivalent of God. They're
No.
not even. They're not even an angel.
There's a reason for that, though,
Okay.
because even the devil and the devils, even though they were cast out, they were directly created, each one, by God.
Because of the okay.
They were created by God Himself. Even you and I, according to this way of belief, we are, we might be God's children, but we were not directly created
Right.
by God. It's not like He zipped us into being,
Right.
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 And even mankind, He didn't do that with. He had to use...
Right. He used the clay and he used the mud. And
Yeah, right. So they are created by God, but only Adam and Eve were actually created by God.
Right.
Well, and
But
Lilith,
I don't even think of that because they were he used ingredients.
He did, right.
Right.
So,
Not just pure willpower.
but that becomes important because the demons, unlike the fallen angels, then it gets a little murky because the devils, in theory, shouldn't be allowed to leave hell at all, but they do all the time. We come to find out.
Well, they're devils.
But demons, on the other hand, they can travel between both dimensions, I guess you could say. So they could be in hell or they could be here on Earth, and they can switch back and forth at will.
Okay.
Which is why the devils have courted them so much and tried to gain control over them. Because then they can go
extend
and
their influence on the...
Exactly.
Right.
They can do a devil's bidding on Earth. And most of the demons are kind of down for it, even though they're in for it for their own reasons. If you go back to the Irish folklore that I spoke of, in Irish folklore, they're kind of like pissed off at humans because we took over the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So some fairy folk are just still angry about that and trying to get their own land back.
Right.
So they're like, hey, I don't know what these devil dudes are about, but if they want these humans out of here, I'm with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that comes from. So another difference between devils and demons, devils are more about bringing corruption to your morality and to like psychosis and that kind of thing.
Okay.
A demon will like physically fuck with you
Okay.
and the world. Like they might be able to cause earthquakes, or they might cause car accidents, or they might cause you to trip down the stairs.
Right.
Like
right.
physical things. A devil would
Whereas
be
the
more
devil
likely
just
to
kind of
lead
drive
you,
you insane and
yeah,
drive
he
you
might
to
lead you away
jealousy
from
and drive
God
you into
cause
committing one of them 7 deadly sins.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we said that the devil, capital D devil, is Lucifer. But that's only probably true because over time there have been other candidates for who is considered the devil, depending on which school of thought, which tradition you're asking. They all seem to agree that Lucifer is the fallen angel. But Lucifer and Satan may or may not be the same person. And if they're not the same person, then it could be that Satan took over from Lucifer. Like there was a power struggle even so when they got back to Earth. Because they were both seraphim angels.
Right. Why wouldn't there be?
So one wasn't more important than the other, and they already had this character flaw of being prideful.
Yeah.
So they're still fighting.
And you get Satan saying, "Hey, Lucifer, you said we could do this, and it didn't work. Look at us now."
Yeah, sure. Any number of things. And Beelzebub is also a front runner for the ruler of hell. But it's also another name, maybe a little bit more quaint. But that's another name that gets tossed in indiscriminately with Satan, Lucifer, the devil, Beelzebub.
Right, yeah.
But the reason why that is because those are the three front runners for who is in charge down there.
But there's nothing really clear saying whether they're the same person or not. Or whether they're separate people.
Or, yes, that's the big question. Or are they even separate people?
Right.
Because maybe they're not. Because one of the devil's favorite tricks is to make you think that there are legion. Even in the movie The Exorcist, this happens.
Yeah.
First it says, they say, like, she doesn't say she's a devil. She says she's the devil.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on you hear her arguing. You hear her demon, or demons, arguing. Devils, I should say.
Yeah.
Arguing amongst themselves. So she's got these multiple voices coming out of her. And the old priest says, no, it's one. There's only one. So this could be another trick. Who knows?
Oh, sneaky devils.
So, theoretically, Lucifer would be, if not the most powerful, one of the more powerful fallen angels because he was a seraphim.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the only one.
Right.
So it is possible that there could be rivalries for the crown. Also, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, like, between the levels. I don't know exactly what powers grant you other things. That would require studying angels, which I did not really do for this episode.
Right.
Although, interesting topic anyway, so maybe we'll get... angels aren't really spooky, I guess. But they certainly fit.
I don't know.
With the overall...
I bet if an angel just kind of like, a traditional angel just appeared right before us.
That's true, too, actually.
That would kind of spook the crap out of me.
That's true, too. If we talked about traditional angels rather than the, bleach blonde, feathery winged ones we see portrayed.
Anything with
days.
a flaming sword shoots out of them.
All right, so we've talked about the devil, capital D, and we've talked about demons, but I want to introduce you to some specific devils.
Okay.
Now, there is a hierarchy in hell, even though a lot of them aren't really into authority. And they, there is this constant rebellion. They spend a lot of time bickering amongst themselves, trying to figure themselves out, sort themselves out. But they all are the very embodiment of sin, obviously, or they wouldn't be devils. So there's lots of problems down in hell. It's not managed very well. And what is hell? Again, that all depends who you ask. But there are some key figures, and I'm not saying that the ones I'm going to talk about are the most important ones. These are just ones that, as I was reading, these ones struck my fancy for one reason or another. And I'm trying to decide which one would be my patron demon.
Okay.
So you can do the same if you'd like.
All right.
I have one that I would like to be my patron demon, and then one that I think probably would be my patron demon. All right.
It always works like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet my spirit animal's no, it's a little frog,
Well, listen, right, being Catholic, we were both raised Catholic, and did you actually go through confirmation?
I did.
Yeah, so you had to pick a saint name.
Mom asked me to, yeah.
Yeah, same here. Who did you pick?
It was either James or John, whichever one Bill isn't.
Oh, boy.
Because St. James and St. John were brothers. And I figured it would be cool to have my Catholic name be my brother's. The brother of another saint. So
Now, my choice will show you perhaps how far off I was even then. When I wasn't fully an atheist, I just knew I didn't want to be Catholic. But we had to choose our confirmation name, and basically to please our mother, as you said.
Yeah.
Although, funnily enough, I do remember our oldest brother giving me a hard time about it too, and telling me I'd just do it. And we say funny enough because he's a pagan.
Yeah.
Now. But anyway, I chose St. Jude for many reasons. One, Beatles song.
I was just gonna say.
Two, Jude is actually short for Judas.
Yeah.
Because there was two Judases. There's Judas the betrayer,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's Jude Thaddeus or Thackerus or something like that. I forget. It's been so long. There's Judas Iscariot, the betrayer, and Jude Thaddeus or Thackeus. He is the patron saint of lost causes
Mm-hmm.
and things despaired, which I also thought fit me pretty well.
Yeah.
At least as far as my
As
Catholicism
far
went.
as the Catholicism, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to chuckle at that, meaning
Yeah.
like life.
Yeah.
In general.
Well, I mean, here we are, But anyway, so that's why I chose.
Hey, your podcast is more successful than mine. So.
That's true. It's the most successful podcast in this room.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a tangent about our saints' names. So, I think it's only fitting that we have to find a patron demon as well, because in Catholicism,
Balance.
so by the way, you choose a saint name, and that is supposed to be your patron saint. That's the saint that you're going to turn to and is going to look after you, right? That's your patron. So I think, yeah, we got to have a patron devil.
Patron devil. Huh.
Fallen angel. All right. And if this all sounds blasphemous, I'll introduce you to the demon who's causing me to do it.
Okay.
First of all, the first demon I want to introduce you to is Abandon. He is known, and I say he, by the way, but they actually don't have sexes because they weren't created that way.
Right.
They can take any form they want.
Right.
And they were, they're just forms. They're not physical beings, they're spiritual beings. So.
Right.
Abandon is known as the angel of the bottomless pit. And this could also be another alias for Satan. Again, it gets real murky with these guys. They seem to trade names a lot.
I can imagine a lot of these could be another,
Yeah.
because he's just, I'm pretending to be a lowly little,
Yeah.
you know.
He is also known as the Destroyer, because he's the one that essentially on Judgment Day. So I don't know if you listened to the episode about what happens after you die and all that in Christianity, but the idea basically of people being in heaven right now or people being tortured in hell right now, those are both wrong. According to the Bible, that's not what's happening to people who die.
Right.
If you die, you're asleep. And you stay asleep until Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, you either go up to heaven or you are destroyed. You're not tortured. You might be tortured a bit, but it's not.
Well, I'm sure the destruction hurts.
Yeah, it's not forever. It does end, and then you don't exist, as opposed to going to heaven and living with God eternally. That's what the Bible actually says, but it wasn't scary enough, so people who wanted to scare you into religion jumped on the no, you'll get tortured right now, and this is whatever.
It will be eternal, and
yeah, and you'll get glory right now if you are good. So anyway, on the Day of Judgment, Abandon is the one who casts you soul-wise into the bottomless pit where nothing exists. So that will be he'll be the last thing you see, aside from maybe other people falling next to you.
Right.
Before you are blinked, your finger snapped out of existence.
The snap.
Yeah. He's also the leader of a cult of locusts, the cult of locusts. And the demons who follow him have the heads of men, the bodies of winged horses, and the tails of scorpions. So he's another rival. He's a very important devil, although he's not most likely the devil. But he is a very important key figure in hell. Next, we have Beelzebub. Beelzebub is one that we mentioned earlier.
Right.
This is also a very important devil who may or may not be the devil. And he was a seraphim in heaven, just like Lucifer. And actually, it was said that while they were in heaven, he and Lucifer were BFFs.
Yeah.
He often appears in the form of a fly, and due to this, his demonic cult is known as the Order of the Fly. He is especially apt to tempt men through pride and envy, and he is also the patron demon of heretics, those who speak against God.
Okay.
So again, if I sound like a heretic,
yeah,
don't blame me. Blame Beelzebub.
It's Beelzebub. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just as we go on, I want to point out, too, that when we talk about the descriptions and you think, wow, that sounds really far out, that's a crazy-ass sounding demon, devil. That's true. However, a lot of times they were based on pagan gods.
Right.
Or at least imagery from other cultures.
Yep.
So if you had something from another culture that you couldn't understand, you would just say, oh, that's like a devil.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, often a way to get people to see, look, no, those people are already following the wrong path. Look at them.
Yeah. Have you heard of Asmodeus?
I have.
He's another very well-known... Actually, I believe he just appeared in an episode of Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, that I was just watching.
Really?
A lot of people have problems with that show. A lot of people I know, because I know a lot of witches, and I know a lot of Satanists. And either one are happy with the portrayal of witchcraft and Satanism on the show.
The witches and Satanists this is totally coincidence. They don't live near me anymore. No. So I don't really talk to them at all. So I don't get their opinion on these things. But I have heard that there's a lot of controversy and a lawsuit over some of the imagery that they had used in the show, because the new big statue of Satan, was used, and they were like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You'll depict us as evil," which is, I know, something that a lot of the Satanist church is trying to get away from. Yeah, well, and it's
probably a little bit
it's
more
much more complicated than I know.
But it's actually probably worthy of its own episode. But I'm not involved with the production, nor am I a Satanist, nor a witch, so I won't comment too much on it now, speaking, completely out of my ass. But I think for the most part, the show does depict witches as legit Satan worshippers.
Right.
Which is the definition that existed for what a witch was for centuries.
Especially, yeah.
So it's not, in that way, it's not incorrect. But it does lead to, it does open a can of worms there with the Satanists and all. So, and of course, most modern Satanists would tell you that they don't actually worship anything, let alone an evil spirit.
Right, right.
And Wiccans certainly don't.
Yeah, I hear more nowadays that it's more about
individualism.
Individualism and I just had the word and it's gone now, but rebelling against authority and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, maybe not even rebelling, but certainly not
questioning it,
not
and
kowtowing to
it.
Yeah. But anyway, enough about that. Those are all wonderful topics for another episode, but I still have a few more demons I want to mention. Okay, Asmodeus. He is the devil of lust and luxury. He runs the casinos in hell. So good to know.
You're getting cheated there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's casinos. What I'm saying is maybe I could
at least... But just to know that there are casinos in hell.
And they need entertainment,
there you go.
assume.
Right, yeah.
I'm not much of a gambler, but,
Hey.
I could work the showroom.
Nice open mic night or something,
Well, you got to come on.
Be the MC.
If I'm in hell, let me dream bigger than that. All right.
You can dream, but you're in hell, so
He encourages mortals to buy unneeded fancy things and to follow meaningless fads just to squander their wealth. He lures mortals into adultery, but he especially loves to make priests and nuns give in to their sexual desires.
Okay.
So it's not their fault.
Right.
It's not Cardinal Law's fault.
Right.
It's Asmodeus.
Asmodeus. That's.
I'm surprised they never used that defense.
I know they should have. I would have been much more sympathetic.
In his true form, he has 3 heads: a bull, a ram, and a human head. He has the feet of a rooster. He is known as the inventor of music, dance, theater, and carousels. That last one
That would
seems...
be awesome. No, because that makes sense. If he was one of the ones that you were thinking about taking as your patron demon,
Which he is.
okay, and I can see why. Just looking through this, you remember how much Mom loved carousels.
It's true.
So there's an in right there too for you.
Yeah. Our mom did collect carousel things.
Yeah, not saying she had anything to do with Asmodeus, but
Yeah.
just throwing in a connection there.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned the other cultures and pagan gods and stuff, and how a lot of times their depictions would kind of play into these demons. So there you see a devil that's described as having 3 heads and the feet of a rooster. The next one, I think, is very clear, in my opinion, where the influence came in. And this is a fellow known as Behemoth. Now, Behemoth is a word that we're probably familiar with. I know it like as a reference to just a big person. Like, oh, look at that behemoth.
Right, a hulking behemoth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard many people say it really, but I know it's a term.
It's kind of out of fashion nowadays as a word.
Right.
But yeah.
But that's what it means. It means a big person. And there's a reason for that. We'll get into when we describe what he looks like. But first, let me tell you what he does. There's a couple devils that could vie for this title, but essentially it sounds to me like Behemoth is the devil, Lucifer's party planner.
Okay.
He prepares all the feasts in hell, and he lures humans into gluttony, indulging too much, eating too much, drinking too much. He loves to sing, and he likes to party all night long. He stays up all night, and he's also then given the job of being the night watchman of hell.
Because he's up.
Yeah, because he's already up. And why hell needs a night watchman?
Yeah.
Like, what is he there to stop?
I guess there was a great story in Greek mythology regarding Cerberus, the 3-headed hound. And as the story goes, he was there. He was at the gate of Hades. And his job was anybody who wanted to go in. That was no problem. But his job was to stop people from coming out.
That's got to be it.
So I wonder if it's a similar...
Yeah. Because they do mention in this book, too, also that, St. Peter is the saint who watches the golden gates of heaven. And, he won't let you in if you're not worthy, and he'll let you in if you are worthy, and he checks the book of life and all. So that's St. Peter's job.
Yeah, I'm wondering if...
There is no equivalent in hell, aside from maybe Behemoth, like we just said.
Yeah, not letting people out.
The gates to hell are always open.
Yep.
And anyone can come in at any time.
Yep.
So there is no gatekeeper. There's no key keeper for the gates of hell. So just to finish talking about Behemoth, why I say he seems to be taken from gods from other cultures is because this is a man with the head of an elephant.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. And when you see the pictures, like, they usually draw him as a very fat man. They kind of give him like what you might consider like a traditional Chinese Buddha with the big belly and the elephant head. Mm-hmm. And also, just for fun, he has the legs of a bear. But it looks like a very demonized, I guess.
Yeah.
Depiction of Ganesh,
Yeah.
the Hindu god,
Yeah.
who actually, to way oversimplify things, is one of the good guy gods in Hinduism, and a very respected and beloved god in Hinduism. But here we see it transformed, perhaps in an effort to lure people away from Hinduism. Just my theory. May or may not be true. So if we're talking about patrons, I would want mine to be Asmodeus.
Mm-hmm.
But really, probably Behemoth. He's about gluttony.
Yeah.
And he seems like a failed showman of sorts.
I don't know.
Like, he likes to sing, but no, it doesn't say that he's like good at it and that people enjoy it. They're just like, all right, you go keep watch on things.
I don't know. Because, I read a lot of these in what you're saying here is like, oh, he leads people to this. I don't see you leading people to gluttony and leading people
No,
to...
I'm not leading people to it.
I see it more
I'm
as
being led to it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest sins.
Is falling for a demon's shtick the same as having it as your patron demon? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, we got to figure out what the rules are. Has there ever been a patron
demon before?
I don't know. We got to figure this out. Spookaroos, write in. Tell us what you think. What's your opinion?
We need some help
how would a patron demon work? Is it the demon that
has got you most, or the demon that you want to exemplify the most?
Oh, what a question. All right. It's getting heavy for a Thursday night. All right, let me tell you about a few more. Belphegor. Belphegor often appears in the shape of a beautiful young woman, and she appears on Earth to tempt men into sin. Now, again, some of these devils are allowed to leave hell, and some aren't, and I don't understand exactly how that works. But it seems like they should be able to come to Earth. Yeah. But they can't go to heaven.
Whether they can go anywhere else, right?
Yeah. So it seems like they can travel back and forth to Earth. But anyway, the reason I found this one interesting is because unlike the other devils that I've read about, this one actually has a home in the earthly realm.
Okay.
She lives in Paris.
All right.
Because, so they say, she finds it very easy to manipulate people in Paris.
In Paris.
Whether it's Parisians or whether it's tourists that come for romance and love, she finds it very...
and there you go. If she spread the rumor of romance and love,
that could be it.
She gets all the people going there.
That could be it. Yeah. And then, in fact, they call her the guardian devil of Paris. So, I guess you can have guardian angels, you can have guardian devils.
Parisian spookaroos.
Yeah.
Let us know what the rules are for having a guardian devil.
You must know something. All right, now we're going to talk about one. I'm sure most people have heard this term before. Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about Leviathan?
Everything's heard about Leviathan. Some manner of large undersea creature. Again, depending on the different stories I've heard, he's guarding an entranceway or guarding an object, depending on what.
Yeah, well, again, different mythologies have different.
I was just going to say what
Leviathan, according to religious context, comes from Revelation.
Okay.
Leviathan is the sea monster that will rise out of the sea to devour the unsaved.
Okay.
So whoever doesn't go with Jesus gets eaten by Leviathan. Once that's done, then they get sent to the pit, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
And this, like you said, is a giant sea monster, like a traditional old school, drawn on a map.
Yep.
Sea monster. That's what Leviathan is supposed to look like. Mastema. This one is very interesting. Mastema is sometimes called God's executioner. So it's a devil.
Okay.
But it seems like maybe when there's some chores that God doesn't want to dirty his hands with, he sends a devil to do his work. Because
Now, see, that's funny because I've always thought of that as being the Holy Spirit's good job.
Yeah, well,
The Holy Ghost clearly does some.
Right. Well, so they're saying that this Mastema could actually be the one who slaughtered the firstborns of Egypt during the lead up to Exodus.
Yeah.
Passover. So, but they also say that he later tried to kill Moses as well. He was not successful. So, a little bit of a mixed message.
All right. Well, I mean, if he's... you put the mass murderer in the job that,
Yeah.
is going to suit them
Yeah.
best. You know?
He is basically suicide squatted. I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Now, did it say what his beef with Moses was, or just...
No, just mentioned that he tried to kill him.
Or is it just,
Maybe he was like,
he
fine,
likes to
God, I'll
kill
do this
people
for you. And then, it'll make Moses look great. And then he's like, hey, you know what? I'll show them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I helped you out. Now guess what? Okay, so, Mephistopheles.
Ah,
That's a name we've heard before.
yes.
And the kind of idea of Mephistopheles, because this is a demon. I don't know if it's been a long time since I've read it or seen it or anything, but the story of Faust, I believe they specifically call the devil that comes to see him Mephistopheles. I could be wrong about that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but in any event, it is the kind of chore that he would do, because Mephistopheles is known as a silver-tongued devil. We have that expression. This is where it comes from. He's a smooth talker with a charming wit. In fact, he is so entertaining and charming that even being cast out of heaven and everything, he is still sometimes allowed to go visit God in heaven, because God enjoys matching wits with him.
He's the man.
Yeah. So he is often the devil that is sent to convince men to sell their souls. So that's why I say it would fit in the story of Faust.
Yeah. I don't remember specifically. It's funny because I know I've heard him in other things, but the only thing I can think of is cats. Which...
Yeah.
I don't really think goes with what we're talking about right now, but...
Well, that preview they put out does seem pretty demonic. Zafan, I'm not sure. This one, not a particularly important fallen angel, except I like this part. Zyphan was up in heaven with everybody else, and while they were rebelling, he was like, oh wait, I know what we should do. We should set heaven on fire. Let me get a torch. Lucifer, give me a light. So they light the torch, but just when they get it lit, one of the archangels comes over and literally kicks his ass out of heaven. And he falls down to earth, through earth, into hell.
Right.
But he's holding his torch. And his torch is what ignites
the brimfire and the...
That's right.
Okay.
So that's where the hellfire comes from. Comes from Zyphan. And Zyphan is now in charge of keeping those flames burning.
Okay.
So he's the one there with the bellows, making sure that the flames
everything...
stay lit. And theoretically throwing sinners onto the fire and that kind of thing. If you
I'm sure
go over those
that has
versions of the story.
something to do with fire and hell, it'll be him.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the big name that we've only touched on, Satan. Another one who vies for control with Lucifer. In fact, might even be Lucifer. We don't know for sure. He is the devil who tempted Eve in the form of a serpent. And he also is the one who bet against Job in the Old Testament story of Job, saying, well, Job only worships you, God, because you give him good things. But if you take away those good things, he'll stop worshiping you. So God, being a gambling man, he takes away everything from Job, including his health and
Yeah,
wealth
yeah,
and
everything.
family.
Man got screwed.
Yeah. But he never gives up the faith, even though the devil's like cheering him on and saying like, "Oh, come on, you don't need God. What has he done for you lately?" And he never gives up the faith, and God restores everything, and the devil loses the bet. But they say that Satan is the one who did this, and he's also the one who tempts Jesus while he's fasting in the desert. He's the one that says, "Hey, if you follow me instead of God, I'll give you all these kingdoms on earth and everything." And Jesus is like, "Oh, what are your kingdoms on earth when I can have eternal kingdom in heaven and all this stuff?" So that's the story of Satan. So that may or may not be the same person as Lucifer. They may be fighting for power. And so that those names are used interchangeably, but they may actually be two different fallen angels.
It's interesting. It's always interesting to think about the idea of a power struggle in hell, and really, given all the basic information that you grow up with, and especially being raised with Catholics and raised about it, like, why wouldn't there be?
It makes so much sense when you think about it. Yeah,
like, of course there's gonna be power. I mean, unless Lucifer was so much more powerful than the other demons or the other devils that were cast out. Well, angels at the time that were cast out. Why wouldn't there be this power struggle?
Yeah.
I loved. Just throwing the names out there. I love those prophecy movies. The Prophecy.
Yeah. Christopher
Walken. Going all into some of the power struggles in the war with the angels and everything. I just love the idea of thinking about it like that, as like an actual physical war of things going on.
Yeah.
And the different things that all the devils are getting in each other's way because of, because it's in their nature,
Yeah. Well, again, they've all shown themselves to be prideful, too prideful to survive in heaven.
Yep.
So, why wouldn't they? All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up here. So, thank you once again, Dan.
Thank you again for having me. It's always fun.
Yeah. And I just want to remind everyone to go ahead and leave a kind review with some kind words, if possible, on Apple Podcast or wherever you happen to listen from, YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're listening. I could really use it, and I really appreciate it. It keeps the show going, keeps me fueled, and it lets me know that you guys are out there and you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to visit the website, spookyas.com, spookyasshit.com, and join us on all our social medias, including Instagram, that is @spookyasshit, and Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas. Sometimes I say things too fast, and then I'm afraid that I'm going to screw up the ending, but I don't. Like, I'll say facebook.com/spookyasshit. But usually I don't.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's spookyas. All right. Until next time, don't be afraid.